today. Even if it's not springtime, it's more like winter or autumnish time. My name is Martina. I'm an Azure MVP as well as Microsoft 365. And I started working with cloud service a couple of years ago. It was in 2008 where I started, where Microsoft started with cloud services for the first time. And I said, oh, that might be a good situation for us to position our business in there and so on. And this is why I started with Business Productivity Online Suite that time back. This was the legacy name of Office 365. In 2011, I was awarded as a Microsoft MVP. And MVPs are people who get an award for their community work, supporting others, and so on. And the special thing about that is, and this is why I tell the story, is Rainer was MVP for Azure, and I was one of the first 8 MVPs for Office 365 that time back. And Microsoft didn't launch Office 365 in Austria yet. So I was awarded 6 months before the product was available in Austria. And I was in Seattle for the very first time that time back. And Rainer, he made jokes about me. He said, you don't even have a product yet. And that was right, because Azure was already available and Office 365 wasn't available that time back. And that means, and why I also tell the story that time back, around 2010, I got tons of feedback from customers, from partners, from friends who said, Martina, you will never earn money with cloud services because no one will ever put their data into the cloud. No one. It's your private hobby. And here's one of my first customers for cloud services, and I earned per year €3.50 from his services he consumed with me, and we made jokes about that. We can drink a coffee per year.
I'm sure I overpaid.
Yeah, you definitely overpaid, and that means also, and this is also why I tell the story, is it doesn't depend what others say. It really depends what you think is the right perspective or the right service or what you're interested in to do that. So always think about that. It doesn't mean anything if someone else tells you you will never earn money with that, you won't be successful with that, and so on. It could still be a successful product, and it was definitely a successful product. Now, after Microsoft started transforming itself into a cloud-based company, we are now in another transition. It's more into, Microsoft is now transforming into an AI-driven company. So everything is AI now. And the fun part around AI services is also that everybody says, I'm an expert. I'm an expert in AI. No one is. No one can't be, because AI services, the breakthrough started in November 2022. So the time frame is pretty short for a human being to learn everything about AI services. That's the one part I wanted to tell you. The other part is we are very slow compared to AI services. So you have to learn faster and stay current, and the AI will always be the faster service. So this is also something I struggle with, that because every single day I get a new AI service. I have to look. I'm interested in everything, because I'm interested in technology. But you can't keep up with everything, and this is also a very hard learning for people who think they need to keep up with everything. You can't do that. I think there's a quote about let it burn. So some things, it's just the flow of information and you can't keep up with that. But if you stay specific and if you stay in your interest, it will also be something interesting for you in that pattern. So always be careful when someone tells you he's an expert. I'm not in AI. And I think I will never be. But we will see. So what I did for today is I prepared 3 slides. This is the second slide before.
It's not on.
Oh. Wie komme ich auf den Schirm?
But it's okay, because what you were saying was perfectly compelling,
Yeah,
even without the slides.
even without, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But I can't do demos without slides. Then I had to describe a lot. We had that before. I can talk you through demos, but I guarantee you will fall asleep.
But it don't depend on the demo goes. So
No.
you can say whatever you like.
I depend on the internet anyway. So
Yeah.
We'll just draw on the whiteboard the UI.
Yes.
here we
Yes.
are. And always good to have an assistant.
Yes.
I haven't to care anything. Thank you. Okay, again, that you see, this is my name, my email address, and so on, and this is also the title of the slide. So what I did prepare, because Rainer asked us to do that he said, I want a demo-focused session for everyone, and what I will show you today is the different flavors about copilots, because everyone is talking about copilots. You hear Copilot all day. It's Copilot, 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 Copilot. And our impression is in the Microsoft universe, everything is a Copilot. And this is quite true. We've been in Seattle in March, and I think we counted it, and currently it's 175 Copilots in the different products. You have Copilot in Azure, Copilot in GitHub, Copilot in Microsoft, Copilot in Microsoft 365, Copilot in Windows, and so on. But also think about that, it's a service name. I wouldn't call it a marketing name, it's a service name. It's Copilot, and Copilot is a description of an AI service which is in a specific product. So that means if you're using Copilot in Word, it doesn't write your email in Outlook. It's Copilot in Word. And this is also something which you need to understand, because very often I get feedback from customers that they said, okay, Copilot doesn't do what I want. And what I see here, we are using Outlook as our project management software, our escalation paths, our email management software as calendaring and everything. But in fact, Outlook is a service to write emails, to have a calendar, and to manage contacts. That's it. And if you do it for other purposes, as everyone does on this planet, it's not written for that. It was not the original intention. And that means going to the demo now. And this is because I'm sharing my screen. Yes, as you see. So first of all, we have a couple of flavors for Copilot, and this is in my live environment. So I always have to be very careful, especially if I'm on video, because people start reading my emails. They do not answer them, unfortunately. But what you see here, I'm signed into Microsoft 365. I have a Copilot license with that. And here you see on the left, you have a specific app, which is called Copilot. And this is more or less my Copilot engine. But the first thing I wanted to show you here is, because this comes with a price tag. You have to license that, and you have to pay money for that. But first of all, if we look at that, and let me check, let me open Global Azure IT. What I also can do here is I can use Copilot, which comes within Bing or in my Edge browser. So this was called Bing Chat Enterprise previously. Currently, it's called Microsoft Copilot. So don't get confused. Microsoft does that every time. Messing product names and services and so on. And I have two Microsoft persons today here, and they both are nodding. So what you also see here.
Oh my God, ask me about Azure Active Directory.
Yes.
To Entra.
Microsoft, part of Microsoft Entra. Microsoft Entra ID, yes. So what you see here is, and this is also quite important, is because I'm licensed within Microsoft 365, my Copilot, my Microsoft Copilot is in a protected mode. What does that mean? In an enterprise environment, very often the first thing customers are asking you, Microsoft is reading all my data, they are training their models with them, it is in the US, yada, 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 and so on. If you are in the protected mode, in the licensed mode, that means Microsoft guarantees your data is protected, it is within your data center location. We are currently in Europe, so it's in Europe, and you can be sure what you have here in that environment is in a secured space. The other thing is what you see here, because I have a Microsoft 365 license, I can switch between work and web. And the difference is, on one side, I can ask content about the web browser, which is the web mode. And on the other side, I can switch to my work profile or to my school profile and ask Copilot here about content in my organization. And that means if we start with that, and I opened the Global Azure Austria site, here you see there's the whole content and so on. And I can, for instance, ask a question like, can you tell me if Martina Grom is speaking at Global Azure Austria? And then you see here, and here you see the answer from that. And the first answer is, I'm sorry, I couldn't find any specific information and so on. And then it resets itself. So it shouldn't work that way, but let me ask again. Let's go to speakers. Sponsors, tell me about Martina Grom at Global Azure Austria.
Can I give a prompt tip?
Yes.
Before you click submit, many times I save the prompt to the clipboard
Yeah.
in case it does that.
Yes. So what you see here when it gives an answer, here you get the information, what's happening here, and so on. The other thing, what you can get here from that is, you see it looks at Global Azure AT, it looks on other references where it finds my person, and so on. And it can also summarize information, which it probably finds on the website itself. And that means, and this is one of the tips if you are on the website and we tend to see, okay, it's too much content, I won't read it, and so on. You can use that Copilot functionality for a summary. So that would be one of the first examples what you can do here. Also, what you see here, references to specific websites and so on. The other thing what you can do here, because you see here are the summaries, you can also, and that I have on my notepad cheat sheet, you can also use Copilot here to create pictures. And this is one of the use cases I use a lot with customers. Why? because it's very important for people to get used to do proper prompts. And prompting is very easy to learn if you create images. Because then you see the output, you immediately see how the image looks like, which you prompted. And that also means you see here, you get different images and so on. You can probably use it. And if I don't like that, I can, for instance, say, okay, I always have a zip tool. And I do not want climation style. I want Wallace and Gromit plastilene style. So, and that means if you're going into the prompt, you can change the prompt, you can adapt it, and you can create other kind of images out of that. And that also means if you do that and you start with that, it's a really good tip to start with image generation, because image generation, now everyone is curious how it looks like. It got better, so it should bring up some nice images for that. But also, if you look at that, you can use those kind of image generation. You see, this was kind of the output I wanted to be generated, where you see it's Wallace and Gromit, in case you don't know that. And you see here, I got the ears, I have the typical smile of Wallace and Gromit, and so on. And even the zip hoodie is now correct, because I also changed that in my prompt. And that means you can go through the prompts and change them and adapt them and so on. And also what you see here on the left side, an output of my prompt. The other things, what you can do with that is, for instance, let me go back to Global Azure. And let me check if that works. What you also can do is you can use that kind of functionality to analyzing images. And the practical example for that might be, think about there is a Wi-Fi thing in the room, you don't know how it works and so on, so you can make a picture of it, upload it to Copilot and say, what's that? And can you please describe me how to handle that? I had that. Here you see, now you get the image and description and so on. So a practical example, I was in a hotel room in the United States and I couldn't turn the air condition off because I didn't understand. Everybody's smiling. So I couldn't turn the air condition off. So I made a picture of the air conditioning instance and said, please tell me how to handle the air conditioning in that room. And then you get the description of that. And this works pretty well. I also use that one of our customers is Almdudler. Who knows Almdudler? Okay. Almdudler is a soda, a lemonade made out of herbs. It's a very typical drink here. And what I did there, I went through their website, or I can show you, which was quite funny for them. I went through their website during a presentation, and this is Almdudler. And what I did here is I made a screenshot of their bottle and said, what is on this image? Without copying the image. I see that. This on this image. Yes. And this is something which really impresses me every single day, because the kind of image recognition you have here is really amazing, and it's really helpful. It was very, very funny because it says it's a typical Austrian drink, yada, yada, yada. It's Almdudler and so on. So normally, this is really helpful in your day-to-day work. Does it show me the right things?
Sure.
Yes. Here you see, feature a bottle of Almdudler, which is a popular Austrian soft drink, and so on. And this is something which you can try out every single day in your day-to-day work. So this is the first part of the demonstration. Also, what you can do is if you go to bing.com, I'm closing that here. You also have Copilot here. It's the same. And as you see here, I'm here in my browser. It also recommends me some of the images which could be generated if you want that. And you can go into a communication. The other part, as I already said, it's the protected mode. I can go to the work mode. And if I go to the work mode, you see here, he's now within our company, within at work. And here you see, can you help me or anything else? How can I assist you today? Because now it's signed in. I see my recent prompts. And I can also ask questions around my work environment. And that means I'm switching gears from a browser-based, internet-based, content-based into my company content base, where all my content is probably stored. Before I do that, another practical example, what I do a lot is, and this is one of the key parts we normally have. So think about, and I'll show you two variations. So think about a customer writes me an email and says, you're a developer, you can probably build me a bot, and so on. And the main part here is what developers doesn't do well is documentation and writing proposals. So you can trust me. I will build everything you want, but I do not write it up front. So think about that. Here you get a request from a customer who says, okay, I want to have a bot built for us in our company. And think about that probably that request was written in German. And you are English speaking, and I'm on an English desktop. So what I can do here is, first of all, I can summarize the email and the request, because I would stop reading anyway after 3 sentences. So I get a nice summary of that. The other part would be, I can say, okay, I want to do that job because I'm sure I can do that. What I can do here is I have to set up a statement of work first, because this was the request from the customer. So I'm copying the text. And I go into Microsoft Word. And the first thing here, what I do here is I'm opening up a new document. It's all in the browser. It works on your desktop as well. But what I can do here is, first of all, I can say, I'm a developer at work, and I need a statement of work for the following request. So copying what I got here with all the requests, and then I can start generating it. And that means Microsoft Copilot Word for Copilot will help me and create a statement of work for the request I got. Because I copied it in German, I will get the statement of work also in German. I could have added into the prompt, please write it in English. And then I would get the same information in English. And the nice part here is, and that was kind of funny, you see a statement of work normally has a time schedule, milestones, costs, and everything else. And what you see here, Copilot is that friendly that he also lists the milestones and also the costs. How much do we have today? Today we have 50,000 euros. Yeah. This example was built out of a real request from a customer. I just rephrased it and anonymized it. The original request was from a public sector customer. And I tried that to create a statement of work, and the cost of the project was 100K. And then I anonymized it. I made it an NGO, a bicycle company, and so on. And I filled in the same request, and I got back 15,000 euros. And I thought, oh, it's that intelligent that it knows if it's public sector, it costs 10 times more. And if it's an NGO, it's much cheaper. And this is not the case. It's totally random. It could be 50, 70, 30, 15, whatever. I think it depends on the weather. Solar storms, I don't know, but it's totally random because it's not a product or a statement of work which you can take by 100%. It's just something to start with for you. So you can start with that and you can go through the structure and say, okay, here I see this is my costs, my responsibilities, and also my conditions. And then I can go keep it, and then I can add something else to that. And that means if I have that now written, I can say, okay, that's nice. I send that to my customer. The customer comes back and can say, oh, can we do a presentation about that? Can you do a presentation? Of course I can, because I can move into PowerPoint, open again a blank presentation, and it's the same. I can do a presentation out of a Word document, not only a Word document. I can also put in some text from an email, from a notebook, from wherever, and PowerPoint would try to create a presentation out of it. And here you see, again, opening up Copilot, and here you can say, create a presentation from, and here you see statement of work. For those paying attention, I tried to speak almost 3 minutes because otherwise the file wouldn't have shown up. Okay, so this is the magic behind. It's not immediately or instant, it's around 3 minutes. And here you see it already has the document, and then it starts creating a presentation for me out of that functionality. And that means I can use that, and now I have to talk for almost 2 minutes because I will get almost 46 slides normally, and it takes PowerPoint a little while to create the presentation. And then after you have the presentation, you see here, it starts creating the presentation. And also what I really like about that, it also stays in context with the images which were generated as well. And this is also something, and this is also random. I got presentations sometimes without bicycles. Most of the time I got bicycles. I don't know the answer why this happens, but normally it stays in context. and give you also images for that. Okay, and here you see, and again, talking with customers, very often I get the info, okay, it's not good enough, it's not even close compared to what I imagine and so on, but on the other side, it's a starting point for you to start working. And it saves you a lot of time. Because think about all talking through the demo, it took me 20 minutes from an email request to a statement of work to a presentation. And this is the time saver. And this is also one of the arguments Microsoft has, which validates the costs of the product itself, because it says it's $30 per month per user. But think about what kind of time saver it could be. Okay. Other things you see around Microsoft 365, and this is also things I do a lot, is you can summarize Teams meetings, for instance. So if we are in a Teams meeting, what we do, we turn on transcription, and after the Teams meeting, we have a summary of the meeting and action items. And this, again, it's perfect for lazy people like me, who do not want to document and write summaries and so on, to have that kind of information. Is it perfect? No, it's not, but it's better than nothing. And think about it that way. Also, action items are very good. And one thing I learned around the meeting summaries, because we live in Austria, we are probably sometimes sarcastic in a meeting, or make jokes, or anything else, and so on. The meeting summary is pretty neutral. No jokes, no sarcastic comments. You probably hear, if it's kind of a very frustrated meeting, you probably get one sentence about that. And also the fun part here, it's a story from a customer in the US. We had a meeting and I joined late, and they are in New York, and I saw in their background, they had pretty nice weather, and they talked about Microsoft 365, the technical surrounding, and we had transcription on, and I said, oh, it's nice weather, and we talked about the weather. And the fun part in the summary, it was, yeah, you can configure Microsoft 365, BSC, yada, yada, yada. And then Martina joined the meeting, and she talked about the weather. In between. So that was my input to that meeting. But it was very funny, and was a good learning. So that means you see it can really help you and save you some time from that. Just Word, document, email summaries, and so on, where you can start writing your statements, create a PowerPoint, a presentation, and so on. The next part I wanted to show you here is Copilot Studio. Or no, briefly, let me just come back to Copilot within Microsoft 365. Microsoft also learned that the hardest part for people dealing with AI is the prompt part. So that means they designed the Copilot Lab, and in the Copilot Lab, you get random prompts which you can try in your day-to-day work. And this is also something what you see here, that you see, okay, you are now within your work environment, and you see you can start writing something. You can say, let me check what is on my schedule today. And I can start asking Copilot for that. And here you see Microsoft 365 Copilot has access to my calendar and so on, looks at the information, collects it, and gives me a summary about that. And here you see I'm at Global Azure Austria. The event was organized by Tony Pohl because he sent me the meeting invite. And here you see also, if you need something, you can call Rainer. If you do not have his phone number, now you have it, even on video. And you see, you can start collaborating here as well. If you want to look at the Copilot Studio, it's aka.ms Copilot Lab, which also gives you some things to start with and also to learn about some prompts. And here you see prompts to try. And what you see here is tons of examples to get people started using Microsoft Copilot or Microsoft Studio. And here you see create a mission statement, create an agenda, or anything else. That means from a usage part, you have all that functionality within Microsoft, Bing Edge, in Bing, in Microsoft 365. Another item what you can do here is, and sorry for those people living in Austria because they don't have it. My machine thinks it lives in the US. This is why I have Windows Copilot here on the left. And that means Windows Copilot can also help you set up your machine, switch to dark mode or anything else. The other functionality is really the same, like we had it in Bing. But I can, for instance, just ask here, turn on dark mode. And something went wrong.
Yeah, we
Yes.
disabled that, I think, yesterday or some days ago. I don't know why.
No.
Yeah.
Seriously? It worked 2 days ago.
Yeah,
And yesterday it was disabled.
I think it's some days ago.
Why?
Someone was probably hacking it and turning on dark mode when you just wanted.
If you enable
Let's see.
dark mode, you know, you were actually
See.
also getting access to recipes for building bombs.
He's from Microsoft. He only knows the marketing stuff.
Ah.
What you see here, and the fun part, I can imagine that that kind of functionality might be disabled. So can also say turn off dark mode, and then I can ask that again and say, okay, yes. The fun part is if I'm polite, can you please turn on dark mode? Let's see what I get today. No, I get the same. I asked that question 2 days ago, and I got the description how to turn on dark mode, but not the information that it will actually turn it on. So also that was kind of, and this is why I thought they will disable it. Will it be disabled or not?
Oh, I don't know. This is work in progress.
Okay. And that means Windows Copilot is kind of the same functionality. It can help you, and I actually use that a lot. And then one more demo. It's more from a developer part. What you can do here is part of Copilot is also the so-called Copilot Studio. In Copilot Studio, it's not actually a developer-based studio. It's more a low-code scenario where you can start building your own bot, for instance. And that means, you see here, we have a couple of examples. And if I go to Copilot Studio, and I'm not a developer, go here to my home screen, and can say, I want to create a custom Copilot. Because this is also something I get a lot of questions from customers. Can I add my own data? Can I create a custom Copilot? How can I deal with that? And Copilot Studio can help you with that. So, Global Azure. It gives you the languages which you can build your bot in there. And then you can also give him a website. Oops.
Wow.
So I give him a website and say, okay, create it. Then you get a pretty nice animation and Copilot Studio starts building your bot. So what I did here, I added the name, I gave him a website and said, bring me a bot which only gives me answers from that website. What you also can do,
Can you embed the bot also on your website?
yes, you can publish it and embed it on the website. But it's not only with Copilot Studio, you can also do it with Azure OpenAI Studio. Yes. And then you see here, I have my document, my bot here. It's already there. Normally, it takes a while to index the website or do other things. And what I can also do here, for instance, I can add some files. So I go here to generative AI. You see that's the website. And I can add, let me check where I have it. Global Azure, some resources, and then I can add the PDF file. It's uploading that. So I have a specific, I have a specific file and I have a website. And that means my bot will only work with that content. And here you see it's now indexing. So it takes a while. Should be around 10 minutes, but I have a ready-to-go bot, and that means you can try out the functionality from there. So first of all, because I already added the website, can you please tell me about my colleagues always make jokes about me, why I'm still friendly, because it's still an AI. But if you have seen Terminator, you know I'm better off with that. But what you see here is now, because I gave him the website, it only gives me answers from that website. And this is a very popular request. I have my own documents, I have my own website, I only want that, and so on. And here you can do that. Also, if indexing is finalized from the document. Yes, it's ready. Here you see it's the document title is 5 tips for making the most of Copilot at work. I can ask him, give me 5 tips for Copilot. And normally it should give me an answer which comes out of the document, out of the PDF file. Sorry, he's not able yet, but I have another one. Let me check. I think it's here. Yes. Give me 5 tips for Copilot. Let's check, and then you can query the bot against the document. So kind of depends what you can do. And here you see you get out of the document the proper answers. Also, you can say, give me a summary of the document or other things like that. That means if you have that and if you have tested that Copilot, you can publish that and integrate it into Microsoft Teams or in a website or anything else. It's a very simple starter. Also, don't underestimate the effort if you need custom programming into that, but it's a starting point for you to go with that functionality. The last part I wanted to show you here, beside Copilot Studio, is Azure OpenAI Studio. So you find it under ai.azure.com. And if you have a subscription in place, you can start building your own functionality here. And you see what Microsoft did here. They summarized everything AI related under one hood, which is ai.azure.com. And here you have OpenAI Studio, Machine Learning Studio, Language Studio, Speech Studio, yada, yada, yada. So you have the different flavors here. And I can go to Azure OpenAI Studio. And within Azure OpenAI Studio, I can also start playing around with different models, with different LLMs, with different flavors, depending where you are. It takes a while to wake up. And I'm happy I can talk as long before it gets bored. So what you see here is, this is my playground. And what I like here, for instance, is here you have specific templates. So you can fill in the flavor of the bot. So you can say, I want my text created with a chatbot or a marketing writing assistant and so on. And because it's very popular to post everything on LinkedIn, I start with a marketing writing assistant. And I said, can you please create a nice post about my session today at Global Azure Austria, unleashing the AI skies. So, and then I can pretty much doing the same, and here you see a perfect LinkedIn post with the proper length and also exciting news. And where's my rocket? Normally you have two patterns in AI generated LinkedIn posts. First one is exciting news. Second one is the rocket, the emoticon with the rocket. Today I got weather information, but normally you get that. And also what you see here and what you learn here, I just made 2 sentences and I get a pretty proper info. Yes, this is why I love LinkedIn so much. So what you see here.
Here's the rocket.
Yeah. Yeah. And here, yeah, here's the rocket. Yes.
Because of the spice in the prompts.
Yeah, probably because of that. It's true. So you see, you can use that kind of functionality to begin with AI. And I think I went a little bit over time, but this is what I wanted to show you today about that. The last part would have been, I could integrate those functionality into Microsoft Teams. So for instance, just to show you that, because I have Teams open, and what you see here, we have 2 bots here, and one is replying only to documents we gave him, and the other one uses Microsoft Learn as a source for our communication, and that means you can very quickly integrate the custom bot into your work environment as well. Okay, any more questions? Yes.
From an engineering standpoint, I joined a company here in Austria, and there are a bunch of documentations written on SharePoint, not the best with catalog, just a bunch of pages and documents. Is there a way Copilot can integrate into the SharePoint for the organization? So if I'm looking for solutions to problems that we have already documented, I could just give a prompt and then take context from SharePoint documentation.
Yes, it's the same way like I showed it if you are within Microsoft 365 or is it SharePoint on premises.
No, 365.
If it's 365, you can you have two ways to go. You have two ways to do that. You can do that without the license. For instance, if you go to the SharePoint site, open up the Microsoft Copilot on the right. We are just Q&A, so we are everyone is ready to go. If you you can open it up here and ask questions towards the SharePoint site, and the other part would be that you just ask questions within Microsoft Copilot about the content. Yeah, works pretty well as long as the page is indexed. Yeah. There are some companies who do not index every SharePoint page, and then you won't get any time. But normally it should work.
With this same format as well, with Teams?
Yes, you can, for instance, integrate that in a bot, yes. Even with Copilot Studio, like I showed it here. So I didn't connect it that way, but I can say, okay, this is the SharePoint site, this is the content, and please integrate that into Teams. Yes. Any more questions?
With this custom Copilot, would you be able to limit the information it uses to a logged-in account? So that, for example, if I have a website where my customers can log in, that they only see information within their account.
Yes and no, depends on your access control system.
Okay.
So first of all, if you, so what I would do if I have documentation and so on, and it's only about a specific customer, I would give the bot only access to that specific content. Then I can control it like I did here. So I said, this is the SharePoint site, the customer has access to that, only answer questions from that.
But that would mean one custom Copilot per customer.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that if I have thousands of customers.
If you have thousands of customers, you have to do access control right. And that means you have to think about who has access to the content. Because Copilot respects access control. And that means if only Martina has access to that content, she would get a result, here wouldn't. But this is kind of, many customers are kind of, they're afraid of, have I done it right? Is my customer probably finding other content as well, and so on? So it's that kind of decision point. Okay. Any more questions?
Yep. Lastly, for
Yes.
the costs, which is, I think, is being charged per user on the 365 plan.
It's charged per user per month.
Is it possible to set up Copilot for specific users of an organization only without
Yes.
having it?
Yes, yes. And also, so
you have to pay for 1 year, so that's an upfront payment for 1 year.
yeah, and also one pro tip. So what we did in our organization, because we are doing development and a lot of consulting services, and our consultants all wanted Microsoft 365 Copilot, and all our developers said, I don't care, give me GitHub Copilot, because it's so helpful for them. And from my personal experience, it's still the most mature product now, currently. It's GitHub Copilot. Anything else? Yes.
Do you know if there's something like, I have a specific problem, like when onboarding new developers to your code base, it's often hard work to get them on board.
Yes,
Like,
because
give
of
them-
plenty of documentation, right?
or no documentation at all. And we give them a task or something, and they first they don't know where to start. And if there's something like this Copilot Studio to feed all your code into that, and that like a bot is able to tell the new person where to start, which files to look at, and those things. Is there something like that?
There's nothing out of the box, but it's normally easy to do because very often organizations have kind of new hire dates for new people in their organization where they get all the first information and so on. And if you have that documented somewhere already, documents, a link or anything else, you can feed that into the bot and then you can create, the person can query the bot. Okay? If you have nothing in a text, it might be hard to find anything.
Yeah, but if you have it on GitHub, like GitHub opens up, I'm not sure about the current state, to feed complete repositories and not just the open file into the Copilot product, you should be able to exactly achieve that. Give me the starting point, what files do I need, so all the questions you've stated should be actually be able to cover by that one. So GitHub Copilot, at least the version I played around with, was really helping you the open file and generate code for
Martina,
that. But it can
The
be
next
much
keynote
more.
starts right now.
Okay.
So
GitHub has a very public roadmap, so you can look that up.
Okay.